Welcome back, friends, to the Multifamily Review. I am your host, Marcus Armstrong. It's been, I think, too long since we did this, but there's been too much going on to keep control of everything. But we are fresh and back from NAA. Shout out Las Vegas for helping us all out. We all got to go down there and learn some really great stuff. Got to see some really cool stuff, and hopefully we're going to take it all back and make all of our companies better. So let's break into it. Vegas may have taken all of my money, but what I took from Vegas, I'd argue, is much more important: knowledge. But seriously, though, the education sessions at NAA this year were pretty impactful, and I would like to go through what I think are the three biggest trends that I found. First things first, AI. I'm sure we're all really sick and tired of hearing about it, but I think it's really important that we have this discussion right now. This was easily the most dominant and unavoidable trend, and I don't think that's going away anytime soon. What I found very interesting this year in particular is that the industry has moved past the question of if it should adopt AI and is now really grappling with the question of how. There's a lot of sessions kind of dedicated to figuring out how it all fits together, what bits of AI are important, what bits are not so important, what things can be automated, and what things we should probably try to keep more personal. So the sessions themselves showed a really clear focus on the practical application. There was a lot of things that talked about ROI, risk mitigation, and the future of how humans, alongside AI, can help increase the entire resident experience. There's a whole lot less about hype and more about the implementation. Actually, I heard this particular quote, which I thought was really cool while I was there. AI is no longer a future concept. It's a present day tool being used for everything from marketing and leasing to operations and resident communication. I don't think that reigns any more true than this year in particular. I think we've talked about it in several years prior, but certainly this year it was much more prevalent. There was a palpable tension between AI's efficiency and the potential pitfalls: impersonal service, new types of fraud, choosing the right tech partner, things that we talked about previously. And then I think the conversation was maturing. Instead of just talking about how generative AI is useful broadly or what types of things you can do with it, we really started getting into the really minute details, ChatGPT versus Anthropic's Claude or Google's Gemini, and which ones of these were used for specific tasks. There were a few sessions that I thought were really great, so I'll read out some of these sessions here for you. First of all, there was the NAA research session, the artificial intelligence and the future of the industry, which was in the fishbowl, and this was the first year of the fishbowl format, and I think it is without a doubt the coolest format, and I will be very excited to see more of these fish bowls in the coming years. This was the flagship AI session featuring the NAA research report, and it definitely was a must-see, so go download the report itself too. You can find it off NAA's website, or if you just go to the actual NAA education session page, you can download it in the handout section there too. Had really great stuff, things like AI adoption rates, what's being used for AI, and really just kind of gave like this broad outlook for what the future of AI might be. There was also the new generative AI hacks every multifamily leader should execute on. This was a pretty interesting session itself too on AI. It really focused in on like how you should use certain prompts to handle certain things. And I'll actually put one of those slides on screen now. Bing! So as you can see, like it is actually kind of like a really helpful thing. And again, no longer this broadly like how AI can help with this, like more of here's exactly how AI can help with that. One final session that I thought was really cool was Press 1 for Human, Optimizing Employee Roles for an AI Future. Great session title. I think we've all been there where you're talking on the phone with the robot and you're just trying to get past it. I'm not even going to go through the automated system. I call, it starts with the automated thing. I'm pressing 0 to talk to somebody real immediately. Pretty interesting session title. But it really talked about the human side of the AI trend. I think we've talked about it in previous Apartmentalizes, certainly at every conference this year as well too, but how we use AI as a helper to the human interaction, right? It's not replacing humans and their jobs, but more of, how can a human do a human job better if they don't have to worry about like the monotonous jobs. The second trend that I saw that I thought was really big and pretty important was this whole idea that the human-centric workplace is being transformed right now. For every action, there is a reaction. The massive push towards tech and efficiency has created an equally strong focus on the human element of our job. This really was talking about leadership, team structure, employee well-being, and change management. So companies recognizing that technology is being used more prominently. There's all these companies out there that are trying to push us in this direction, so understanding how we can effectively make all of these changes to make it easier for our teams. And really one of the other big focuses of this is that without engaged, well-trained, and mentally healthy teams to run the properties themselves probably are not going to do that great. Also, with centralization still being a big topic and people still being kind of afraid about that, it was more important than ever to get a grip on some of this stuff. So here's some notes I wrote down at the sessions for this one. We're facing an employee crisis as an industry. There's high turnover, burnout, and the challenge of managing change. Honestly, if you go back last year to reading our NAA mental health report, you can see the exact same things being played out. While I think we're still taking positive steps in that direction, things are still tough, right? And that was definitely prevalent within the sessions this year. Leadership is shifting from command and control to coaching, so no longer this transactional type of relationship with your manager. It is more of a let's collaborate, everyone can bring their ideas together, let's figure out what works best, and then we can do and implement those things. So lots of focus on empathy and fostering psychological safety in this year's sessions. There's a growing understanding that employee experience directly mirrors the resident experience. A happy, supported team creates a better community. This was probably the coolest takeaway for me personally at NAA this year, because I've always believed that. If you have teams that are happy and healthy and functioning right, it's going to lead into their job, right? They're going to do their jobs better. They're going to make everyone else happy. Happy is contagious. One smile leads to several smiles. And finally, mental health is no longer a taboo topic, but a critical operational concern. There were several sessions trying to train staff to be first responders for mental health. Again, I don't think mental health is perfect within the industry, but I will say there's a huge focus trying to push mental health initiatives within the industry. Key sessions I found helpful in this kind of stuff: flying in formation, the science of creating high-performing teams. We talked a lot about psychological safety in this session, the look for frameworks or diagrams about team dynamics and the characteristics of these high-performing teams. So lots of good stuff. Shout out to Tyler Marker from J. Turner Research for being on this session, but hindsight's hiccups and hallelujahs, keys to avoiding centralization train wrecks. This was full of case studies that were perfect for storytelling, really just trying to understand, with centralization becoming like the big thing, everyone's trying to get into it, to understand what went wrong for people who pioneered it, what went right for people who came afterwards, who really sat down and took all the planning initiatives to get it right. So I think if you were someone who was interested or is interested in centralizing certain aspects of your team or company, that this was the perfect session for you. It really went in to explain how they did it, and then also did it in a way that didn't upset team members. Because I think when you first hear centralization, you might think, job loss, is my job in danger of being replaced or something like that, and that was not the case here. It really talked about how you can tell your teams this is what's going to happen, and what we're doing really is specializing you into one role that you want to do. And finally, training on-site first responders in mental health. It was an extremely powerful and timely session. Again, I'm always going to be a champion for mental health within the industry. Had some stats on there about certain workplace mental health concerns and practical communication techniques. So if you're someone who is concerned about mental health within the workplace, this was certainly some slides you should check out. Finally, the last trend that I noticed within the education sessions at NAA this year was redefining the resident relationship and the bottom line. So this was more about moving beyond simply filling vacancies to holistically managing the entire resident life cycle with sophisticated, data-driven strategies inspired by other industries. It covered everything from preventing fraud at the front door to building brand loyalty through storytelling, and finally using data to predict who will renew. It's the operational and financial consequence of the first two trends, really. And this was exactly what I was talking about. This is moving us away from just this really broad idea that AI is coming and more of, okay, AI is here, several companies are already using it. Let's see exactly how they're using it. So what I really noticed within this particular trend is that the industry is finally looking outside itself for inspiration. So specifically, they were looking to giants like Amazon, Apple, and Airbnb to learn more about monetization strategies, integrated experiences, and scalable hospitality. Also, if you were at Apartmentalize, you'll realize that fraud was certainly prevalent as far as sessions and exhibitors go. Fraud is a multi-billion-dollar problem that's becoming more sophisticated with AI. That should scare everyone. The industry is getting serious about advanced prevention. Brand matters more than ever. In a competitive market, operators are realizing they need to sell a story and an experience, not just a floor plan. Google's EEAT, that is experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness framework, is being applied to property marketing. Some key sessions that I think you should go try to find and download the slides for in this one were $16 billion problem, solutions for tackling fraud and eviction risk. This was a case study. The title alone itself should absolutely hook you. $16 billion problem. That's a fun book to read. Certainly has statistics about fraud-related losses and some ideas around technologies and best practices to combat it. Also, another session in this particular trend that I found really informative was how Amazon, Apple, and Airbnb can inspire your resident journey. This was a presentation format, again, fantastic. Had slides that created direct parallels to do this, and it was like Amazon's strategy or Apple's idea for this or Airbnb's scalability idea for things like that, and you can achieve some multifamily related outcome. So it was certainly engaging in the sense that these companies obviously are massive and very successful, and there is certainly ideas that we can borrow from as an industry. And finally, reputation reimagined, leveraging Google's EEAT to build trust with renters. Extremely detailed marketing specific strategy. Had checklist and a case study on how certain communities improved SEO and reputation kind of using this strategy. I don't want to give too much detail away from this one because I did think that it was certainly worth a read. So go look for the slides on this one. Reach out to the presenters. There you go. Woo, magic. So find these people, talk to them about it. This one was pretty impactful. So that was the education session. Certainly knowledge is power, but at NAA, the education sessions are not the only thing that's important. There is also the trade show floor. I am a huge fan of walking down all of the aisles. I like to learn more about every company. I found some really great ones. Let me go ahead and also give you the 3 biggest trends and takeaways I found from walking the exhibitor floor. Trend number 1, the AI-powered operator. So things like automation, fraud prevention, and outsourcing ties hand in hand with everything we just talked about in the education trends. So the back office and leasing office are completely redesigned by technology. This isn't just about a single property management software anymore. It's a stack specialized AI-driven tool designed to automate tasks, eliminate risk, and free up on-site teams, right? So what I noticed on the trade show floor itself was a massive influx of companies selling AI-powered solutions to handle very specific high-stakes operational tasks. So again, moving away from should I use AI to here's an AI solution that can handle a problem point for us. Operators are currently facing staffing shortages, rising costs, and increasingly more sophisticated fraud. They are turning to technology and specialized services to become more efficient and secure. Evidence kind of around this, we had leasing and CRM automation, red hot category. Companies like Elise AI, Funnel, BetterBot, NurtureBoss, and Vita by Property Vista are all offering AI chatbots and automated follow-up to ensure no lead is dropped, freeing up actual on-site staff to handle on-site related issues. Fraud and income verification is a huge pain point. Number of vendors who push that same narrative, Snapped, Approved Shield, DocuVeris, Resistant AI, and 2Dots AI are all laser focused on detecting fake pay stubs and fraudulent applications, which directly addresses the $16 billion problem we talked about earlier. And actually, at one of the particular booths, I saw some of this fraud AI in action. We had an AI set up to generate fake pay stubs and fake IDs and things like that. And then the other AI, going in and, detecting what was fake about it and stuff like that. And I'll be real honest, looking at it from my own personal eyes, there's no reason I would tell that one of these, pay stubs or IDs was fake, but the AI was catching on to little tiny things. So if you're not currently thinking about fraud prevention strategies, you definitely need to be. And finally, remote staffing and outsourcing. So the logical extension of automation is outsourcing. So companies like Anaquim, I'm sorry, I'm butchering your name, Extend Team, Rocket Station, and Team Up Talent all provide remote professionals for roles like accounting, leasing support, and maintenance coordination, directly linking to this whole idea of centralization. The next trend I noticed on the exhibitor floor was the fully integrated smart building. I heard the digital doorman and beyond while in passing, and I thought that was a great quote for this one too. So this idea that the smart lock is like all smart home needs to be smart, or like just smart thermostats is wrong, right? We're building the full operating system itself. The focus is on creating a seamless, centralized system for access, security, and in-unit Internet of Things that benefits both residents and management. So it was the convergence of access control points, security, and smart home technology into one unified platform. So instead of having all of these separate companies that handle very specific pain points within a smart home technology, you notice that more of these companies have an all-encompassing approach to smart home technology. Residents now expect the convenience of mobile access, and operators need the efficiency and security of centralized control. So no longer doing lockouts at 3 a.m. A truly smart building is a powerful differentiator and an operational tool for marketing. Companies that were pushing this narrative included major players like ADT Multifamily, Brivo, Butterfly MX, Latch, Salto, Schlage, and SmartRent, all showcasing their comprehensive solutions that go beyond just the front door and really work for the entire amenity space, everything within the unit as well. So pretty great stuff. I also noticed that smart water and leak detection was a really popular category this year, and I would say it's certainly growing over the last couple of years. Now we have Geospace, so Aquana, H2O Degree, Nolix.ai, all offering solutions that prevent some of this costly water damage. And then finally, managed Wi-Fi. So reliable internet is now considered a core utility. I don't know if I could exist without strong Wi-Fi in my house. So you had companies like Airwave, Bluestream Fiber, Data Valley, Doja Networks, and Spot On Networks, all selling these property-wide managed Wi-Fi solutions. Moving away from very specific companies handling, very minor pain points to companies offering packages that have all of these solutions kind of bundled. Then you also notice that there was certainly a push to getting the data from all of these separate companies into a more organized format, so that way they could be shared across different platforms. And finally, the explosion of the amenity services. If there's a service that a resident might want, there was a company on the floor selling it as a managed amenity. This trend moved far beyond the traditional pool and fitness center and into highly specialized revenue-generating services, a marketplace of third-party providers offering turnkey solutions for everything from trash and pets to EV charging and on-demand retail. Look, in a competitive market, unique amenities drive resident acquisition and retention. They also represent a crucial stream of ancillary revenue for operators. Big ones that we already know about: Valet Trash, they were well represented there this year. Infinity Waste Solutions, Ally Waste, Community Concierge Services, Trash Butler, Trash Fairies, Valley Living, etc. You get it. They were well represented. Pet Services. This is one that I think is also kind of a growing trend. Certainly, they had more booths this year than they have had in previous years. Bark Buildings, this pet-friendly programming, Poo Prints, DNA, pet waste management, pet screening, so a company designed to help take the monotonous documentation of pets away. And they're showing a really sophisticated approach to the idea that everyone these days has a pet. EV charging, it's always going to be a big one as we move into the future and EVs become more widely available. Blink charging, Charge Labs, EV Passport, all providing turnkey solutions for properties. Basically, nothing you need to do. They just show up, install the chargers, and you're ready to rock and roll. I did find some really fun niche and convenience amenities that I did think are worthwhile to talk about. 365 retail markets, micro markets was kind of an interesting one. You should look them up. Tulu on-demand product rentals like vacuums, scooters. I don't think this is for every community out there, but I do think that there is a certain niche of properties that this might work really well for. With Me, Print With Me, they're all adding layers of convenience to the resident experience. If you wanted something branded, With Me is great for things like that. One final thing that I noticed about the exhibitor floor is in relation to last year. Last year, Gold Dollar Management Company made a massive splash by being one of the first management companies ever to have a booth on the exhibitor floor. I thought this was a really interesting talent acquisition idea, and I was curious to see if other management companies might follow suit in the coming years. It made sense for Gold Dollar last year to do it because they're based out of Philly and Apartmentalize was in Philly. This year in Las Vegas, I did not find any management companies out there. Now, this could certainly be the case that they're thinking that they didn't want to spend money in this particular area to try to attract talent that maybe they thought, spend for that could be used elsewhere. Maybe Gold Dollar came out later and said this wasn't a very effective strategy, but it certainly was an interesting strategy. It also could be the case that management companies are not as prevalent within Las Vegas as they are in the Philly area. So that's always something to keep in mind. I was hoping to see someone there, but again, did not happen this particular year. But staffing agencies, pieces like BGSF, Career Strategies, Essential Staffing Solutions, Inner Solutions, and the Liberty Group, shout out Nikki, we're all well represented this year. Certainly there, maybe next year, New Orleans, we might see a return of a management company deciding to gather up a giant booth, but we'll have to wait and see. Let's get out of the boring stuff. It's fun to talk about the trade show. It's fun to talk about the education sessions, but that's not what we're here for, right? We want to think big. We want to think future, forecasting, predictions. And I've put together 3 predictions. Whether or not they will happen or be true, I don't know, but I will still give them to you. So the first prediction is the rise of the autonomous operations platform. Right now, like I talked about earlier, the exhibit hall was filled with dozens of standalone AI-powered point solutions, and AI for leasing, and AI for fraud detection, and AI for marketing. It's creating a new problem that many of the management company professionals that I talked to agreed with: a fragmented, complicated tech stack. The most forward-thinking operators are going to start demanding consolidation. And what this means is that the conversation will shift from AI assistants to AI operators. I think next year, the dominant tech players will be those who offer a unified platform that orchestrates all of these individual AI tasks. Imagine a singular platform that not only answers leads, but also adjusts ad spend in real time based on traffic, flags a fraudulent application, and then can automatically schedule the move-in inspection once a legitimate applicant is approved, all with minimal human interaction. I think this will directly mirror smart home technology, where it went away from all of these point solutions to big operators kind of providing a multi-product solution that can handle everything all in one. And if not, there is consolidated efforts in the data that you can kind of plug and play certain providers if they don't have everything that you're looking for. I think in 2026 on the exhibitor floor, you're going to see less new AI chatbot startups. The market's going to start to consolidate around well-established players. I think more companies marketing themselves as an AI-powered operating system or autonomous property management platform is going to be more prevalent. As far as session titles are concerned, I think we're going to evolve from things like AI hacks that you can use today to building your autonomous operations stack for 2026 or 2027. Prediction number 2, great role redefinition. What I think is we're going to see on-site teams more as hospitality professionals. As these AI autonomous platforms handle more of the repetitive transactional work, the value of on-site staff will fundamentally change. The old metrics of leads managed or applications processed will become irrelevant for certain people. And I think what this means is that the role of the leasing agent is going to evolve into a community experience manager. I've already talked with several people about my radical idea about this, but I think resident success specialist might be a particular name that gets thrown around. Their primary job will be provide a high-touch, empathetic, and creative experience that AI just cannot do. What this includes is building a genuine community, right? Solving complex resident issues with actual emotional intelligence and creating strong, positive culture at the property. I think that the industry itself will probably look to the high-end hospitality sector, Four Seasons or like the Ritz-Carlton, for training and service models. For Apartmentalize 2026, I think that you'll see a major leadership session led by an executive from a luxury hotel brand, drawing direct parallels between their guest service model and the future of what the resident experience on site looks like. I think more exhibitors are going to be offering advanced soft skills and emotional intelligence trainings, perhaps even using VR for empathy training, potential role plays. And finally, I think that there will be a fishbowl or open space session titled something like, "What do we call ourselves now? Redefining on-site roles in the age of AI." And finally, my third prediction is the monetization of risk and wellness. So there's twin pressures right now: soaring insurance premiums and the constant need for new ancillary revenue. And I think this is going to force a new kind of innovation. The focus itself will shift from blanket amenities to hyper-personalized, data-driven services that directly impact the property's bottom line by mitigating risk. What I think this means is that properties are going to start partnering with fintech and insurtech companies to create dynamic models for risk. For example, I think a resident who agrees to have a smart water leak sensor in their unit might receive a lower renter's insurance premium. A building that can prove a high percentage of its residents have completed a Fire Safety 101 module in their resident app could negotiate a better rate on its own master policy. I think this turns risk management into a potential revenue stream or cost-saving center while also tangibly improving resident safety and wellness. Double-edged blade, but in this case, for good. At Apartmentalize 2026, we're going to see more exhibitors from the insurtechs, as the insurance technology world, who have previously never attended a housing conference. I think that we'll see that kind of blossom. There will probably be a panel discussion titled "Your Next Big Revenue Stream is Your Insurance Policy," featuring an operator, an insurance broker, and probably a tech CEO. And direct insider knowledge would also tell me that I think that there's going to be a launch of a resident wellness score by a major tech platform, which quantifies a resident's positive engagement and can be used to unlock perks or benefits. Whether or not any of these predictions actually happen, can't tell you. We'll have to check in next year. If any of them are definitely wrong, I didn't actually predict these. They came from everyone else that I work with and not me directly. But if they did come true, you know that I can see the future. Anyway, friends, that is everything I have for you today. This has been the Multifamily Review, recapping the hectic, busy, and always fun NAA Apartmentalize. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or emotional outbursts, please feel free to reach out to us at research@jturnerresearch.com. That is jturner with an R, research with another R.com. Double R there, can't forget that. All right, bye.